Welcome back, restless spirits. And Deedee and I have just been talking about where to look. So I don't know if I'm looking up, down at you. I'm trying to look at you, but I don't know where I'm looking. So hello, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to Haunt Johns. And today we have a very special guest, Deedee. And is it Illusions from the Side of the Road? How do people find you for the dreams?
I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place. I start off with Illusions from the Side of the Road, and then I do Haunted Hour podcast because I'm the moderator for Haunted Hour. And then I started with the dream interpretations, and so that's the dreamsinterpreter.com. So
okay, so that's how
many places.
Many places, and then that's how they would find dreaminterpreter.com.
Interpreter.com. Yeah.
Okay. But to watch you, do you do it on YouTube also?
Yeah. So on YouTube and Spotify, Google, it's Haunted Hour Podcast because I do dream interpretations. I also do paranormal stuff. So.
Oh, so you weave it all together. Okay. Yeah. With Haunted Hour. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I was like, I know where I watch, but I'm not sure. I just watch you. So I don't know how. Yeah. Thought about it. I'm like, well, I better make this clear so people know, because I think it's super fascinating. And I initially, for those who don't know, met you through Haunted Hour on Twitter years ago.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that now?
I always say 5 years. That's the joke, but I've been saying that for like 5 years. So it's like 10 years.
I was going to say, because I think it was like 2017-ish. It could have been before there.
2015 probably, yeah.
Yeah, when I first became aware. And you were so, I just always remember that about you, how gracious you were, because I didn't know what the rules were or how to participate. I'm just like, I thought it was just a promotion site. And you're like, no, we have a topic every week, but you were so nice about it. So I was like, gosh, she's so gracious. Like, and that is you. Like, as long as I've known you, that's you.
Thank you.
And then for a little minute, we also did a Haunt Mess podcast together with Sarah. And now you guys do Paranormally Blonde together.
Right.
So you're like, really, if you can't find Deedee somewhere, you're not looking.
You're not involved in the paranormal, probably.
Yeah, I know, because you will know. But because dreams come up a lot, and I think on Haunted Hour, I'm sure you had questions there, before, and then we've talked about before, and then I loved. Was it this year or last year? You went deeper.
I started doing the dream interpretations. It'll be about 1.5 years now. It'll be 2 years starting January 1st. So I've been doing it for about 1.5 years for like public consumption. I had always done it behind the scenes for friends and family. And it just a lot of people came up and they would ask for dream interpretations. And so it got to a point where people were like, well, why don't you just like have a booth or do whatever, And so finally I was like, you know what, why don't I share what I know, So it's been fun and interesting.
Yes. And I didn't know it'd been that long, but you make such cool. That's just how fast time goes, though. I can't keep track of it. But what really catches my eye, because I think it's just so clever. And I never have seen anybody else. Maybe other people do. I just never have seen it. Is you'll make these short reels and then you post with, did you know? And I meant to look. I didn't. You just did one this week, but now I forgot. I meant to refresh my mind. But what was it?
Oh, so every Friday I do a dream symbol. So, and you can find it like on YouTube Shorts. I put in reels on Instagram, Facebook, and someplace else. Oh, Twitter. I'll share it. And so basically I just take a different dream symbol each week, and people can request a dream symbol, or I'll come up with my own, whatever is going on, maybe in my own dream life. And it's 60 seconds or less. And I go over possible meanings of the dream symbol. And it's just supposed to get people to learn the dream symbols, because I'm learning myself. This started off January 1st. I said I'm going to do one every week so that I can memorize all the dream symbols, which is pretty hard because there's so many. But I see as I've been doing it for a while how things sort of kind of fold into each other and you do start to remember. And I want everybody to come on the journey with me and learn as well, you know. And so it's been really fun. And I love doing it so much. And there's so many symbols. I'm going to continue to do it because it's a weekly, you know, thing.
Oh my gosh. I love that. And I didn't realize you're so disciplined. That's the other thing I admire. Organized and disciplined and creative and smart and very beautiful. So while I get them all out, I'll just get them all out for you. But the thing that I admire, and I realize you're doing them weekly, but I didn't know, Thursday, because then on Saturdays, you also post video, not necessarily dreams, but is it Haunted Hour?
Yes, that's the Haunted Hour podcast, and I do it the second and the fourth Saturday of each month. And sometimes I interview people, as you know, because you were on it. And sometimes I'll just do a topic that's interesting to me. Like the last one I just did was different dream tools that you can use. And it was different cards and journals. And I have one coming up that I'm going to be doing soon that's more paranormal. So I kind of flip back and forth, you know, because I love both. So, and sometimes they come together and they tie together. Like I did the one with the haunted hotel, and I had a dream about a spirit in a stairwell. So that's why I chose to sit in that stairwell. And I did get a really good Class A EVP. So it does combine sometimes.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And you had now that you bring that up, once upon a time, was it before the first time you went to Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum, you dreamt about, was it Bela Lugosi's mirror?
The Bela Lugosi mirror, yeah. I had a dream. I used to have a lot of dreams about going to the museum, and I'm sure it was anticipation of getting to go. But there was one dream that like stood out that was just different. And those are the ones you got to really look at. And so I had a dream that I was looking in the mirror. And when I looked in the mirror, instead of seeing myself, I saw like all these shadow figures behind me. And so like I talked about the dream and whatever. And then when I finally went and it was my turn to look in the mirror, I literally saw in that mirror what I had seen in the dream. And the shadow figures were all the people standing, because I went first. So it was all the people standing behind me because the room's very dark, waiting to look in the mirror as well. So, I mean, I literally had a premonition, but it wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't spirits. It was just the people.
But still, that's so cool. And I know what you're saying when you say it feels different. And I'm curious for those watching, if you can relate to this, the different, like if you've ever had a dream that felt different, tell us, because I do that a lot. Like I'll dream something and I didn't realize it at first, but ever since we lived in Nashville now, I can distinguish, that's one of those dreams. I know some point in the future, I will get to see a place in my dream. But I went through a spell for like 3 years where I didn't have one. And I'm like, does that mean I'm going to die? Like,
there's nothing else to see.
I was like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? So I had one the other day and I was like, phew.
Oh, wow.
It got me a little worried.
Yeah, that would worry me too. If it's something that you're used to, I can see why you would think that.
Kind of funny. But and then I was telling you in an email before we get into, you know, I sent her some other questions. So we'll talk about some of those. But I've never ever, have you ever dreamt of fire before? I never had dreamt of that.
I have a couple of times. Yeah. It's supposed to be a common dream symbol, but I can only recall 2 dreams of my own with fire. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen like maybe a candle flame or something, but this was a full on wildfire, dangerous. Like I had to get out of the house, and it was like our whole neighborhood wasn't like on fire, but we're in the front. So the front was still okay and we could get out, but everybody in the back, it was just flames. And our neighbor's house, I could see everything was flames and it was coming up on our grass. And I knew like, this is it. I either go now or I don't. And we have a cat who's really terrified of everything. And in my dream, I was like, I got to get him into the carrier, and I never put him in the carrier. I don't know what, and I was freaking out. So of course I was looking up like, well, what the heck does wildfire? Because it was specifically, wildfire. And I got conflicting interpretations.
And you will. And I always say to people, whatever it is to you, regardless of what all the different books and websites say, what the symbol means to you, because it's your own dream coming from within, usually. So whatever that symbol means to you is probably what it represents. But I mean, when I researched it, the fire can represent, or the neighborhood can represent community. So fire can be, and that could be like your social life. So it could be something in your social life that, and then when fire is like, it can be cleansing, it could be illuminating. So it could be lighting something up. It could be urgently drawing your attention to something. So you look at the fact that, okay, something definitely needs your attention because it was the entire community, at least behind you, which is interesting. So when you think about behind you, is there something specific to that area, or is it past? Is it like something in the past that is coming up that reminds you of something that's going on presently? And then the cat, I was trying to decide, because the cat, usually a cat is intuition, femininity, and all that. But in this case, I think the cat represents some aspect of yourself. And I think that it could be, you just mentioned that you had like, he's afraid of things. So he represents fear. So something, possibly, this is a possible meaning, something regarding community or your social life. It could even be something that reflects off of work life, needs your attention, but there's something about it that you're afraid to address. So I don't know if that's accurate, if that like means something to anything that's going on in your life.
It does. And that's, I didn't even expect you to do that, but I was sort of hoping you might. But this is a fantastic example of why I'm so psyched you're into the dreams, because the other times we've talked, this is what you've done. You've really analyzed and looked. Like, I would never have even thought to look up cat or neighborhood or try to put it all together. But the way you wove that in, and just so people know that it's not staged, because I haven't, other than telling you my dream, I haven't told you anything that's going on within my life. And it hits with things I'm trying to do, trying to get myself organized again and back on track. And I'm kind of scared, and we're about to move, and I'm very afraid of that. And just, leaving things that we've bought. So it's weird. You're saying things. I'm like, yeah, that represents a whole lot of yes.
Yeah. Wow.
It's frightening how like, that's to me, what you do is better than going to a psychic, just because you hit the nail. You're so good at it. I'm just so impressed. And I hope everybody watching, I don't know where to look, but please know when I'm googly eyed, I'm trying to speak to the audience and tell you how much this way, no, that way, I respect this woman and what she does. That was a taste of her brilliance. So I hope you enjoyed that too. And let's talk about these symbols and stuff. And I'm going to pull my notes up because I've already forgot all my questions. Oh, what are some of the, like you said, fire is sometimes categorized as a common symbol. What are the ones, like, since you've been doing it for friends and family, and even more now, do you get requests, like common symbols requested?
Yeah, well, I get a lot of requests. Usually when I get requests, it's because people are having dreams that are so disturbing and they're so detailed that it's hard to sometimes I've looked up people's dreams, and it's taken me like an hour to work through it to see because there's so many, because everything's a symbol. Everything's a symbol. So when you have a dream, it's not like you said it was about fire, but it's not just about fire. It was about many layers of things. And I'm sure if you took yourself back to that dream and stood there again and looked around, because you can do that. You can actually go back to the scene of the dream and you think of it as a memory, like you were there, and you just kind of look around and you'll remember other things, and it'll give you even deeper meaning into the dreams. And so the most common thing I get is people tend to be attacked by another person. That's super common. And I know, and over everything, like, I guess people don't come to me with like the happy dreams because they're just like, oh, it was happy, and they don't want to know. But sometimes those are really good to look into too, because they have a lot of information and they boost your soul, so you should look at all your dreams. But I think looking back, that is really common. People dream about animals a lot. I'm trying to think what else has come to me. Usually it involves other people, though. It's usually some conflict with other people or people being lost, which is basically it's being indecisive or not knowing what you're going to do. And so when you do have the dreams where you feel like you're lost or you see many paths, that's where you really should be documenting what's going on during the day in your waking life and your sleeping life, and recording your dreams, because you can start to unravel, like just knowing. Sometimes we don't even know we're afraid of something. And when it comes to us in our dream, we just blow it off, and it's just going to keep coming back to us until we address it. Because the subconscious is a pest. It will keep telling you, and it'll make it scarier and scarier and scarier until you're finally like, okay, I'm paying attention, So.
Wow. Oh my gosh, you're saying so many good things. The subconscious is a pest. I love that.
Mine is.
I love that. And there was something else you said too. I was like, oh, that's very poetic. Something about dreams. I can't remember. But when I re-listen to it, then I'll tell you, because I'm like,
okay.
Oh, that's really good. I got a note to self, mark this point. That was a good thing you said. That's so interesting, though, that they'll come back like that. I didn't know that, but it makes sense, because I've had not necessarily... There is a couple of times I've had recurring dreams, but if I think about that, then yeah, there was something going on that was like, hey.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the recurring dreams, well, there's some that are very interesting. And I myself have had those recurring dreams where it's like I go back to the same place over and over again. And it's sometimes, like, for me, it was a house. So it was basically, I kept going to the same house because that was myself. And I was going to different rooms because I was working on different things. And so my subconscious is like, okay, I've visited this house and this is working, so we're going to continue with this theme, because she knows, and it makes you become more aware. And sometimes that can lead to the lucid dreaming, because you're like, oh, I'm here again. And at some level, you're like, wait, and you can interact a little deeper. I myself have trouble with lucid dreams, but that's kind of the entry point. When you're having reoccurring dreams, I feel like that is a portal to lucid dreaming, because you become more aware. You're revisiting this place.
Really? And then you can that's interesting. And it's interesting that and the house was no house that you ever lived in before?
No, it was a house that either I had seen as a very young child, because I don't remember. It was a green Victorian house. And so I don't recall ever being in it. And I've searched the internet, and I know there's a house in Eureka, but I don't think we went inside. So I don't know. It could be my mind putting several images together, because I do believe our minds do that. It collects everything we've ever seen, which is why we say, if you're somebody who's been traumatized, they probably don't watch horror movies, but if you do, you're putting all that information into your subconscious, and your subconscious could pull those images to terrorize you, because you're not dealing with, a certain situation. So you have to be careful what you watch and do, but also good stuff. So surround yourself with good images, and your mind will have only good things to kind of share with you to work through things,
Oh, that's smart. I like that. And that's a good, that a lot of people say that too, like they can't watch the scary because it's too much for them. Whether, I don't know if they, had other trauma, but they don't want that. They don't want to introduce it. Whereas me, I'm like, oh, it's ready to go to bed. What horror movies?
Let's watch zombies.
And I have crazy dreams, but I would have them, I think, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't, maybe. But what's weird is if I watch something tame or, nice, a lot of times I don't know that I sleep better. I think sometimes it ramps my nightmares. I don't know why. That's
Interesting.
not always true, though.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just sleep and I'm okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mostly people don't remember their dreams. It's something you have to train yourself to do. Some people do remember automatically. Those are usually all your people who are interested in dream interpretations, because I've always remembered my dreams. But most people don't. It's something you have to train yourself to do, which I fully believe anyone can train themselves to remember their dreams. You just have to be interested enough, to do it.
That's so interesting. Yes, because like you, and I think that was a thing. Like I met other people that say they're interested in dreams, but not to the level of like what you dove into with having different books and looking,
Right.
and being very, what's that word when you do things repetitive, but that's not the word I'm looking for, but you will look and
Right.
you knew so much. And then the way, and you're so good at it's like research. Some people are killer at research and you're like that with dreams, because there's things you pick out and I'm like, God, I wouldn't have never thought of that to look up for a symbol. Never. I mean, it has to be blatant. And then I pick like fire. Oh, okay.
And it's interesting that out of all the symbols, that's the one that you identified, but that's probably because that would be very frightening to see the neighborhood on fire for real. So that's why your subconscious was like, okay, this is it.
Yeah. Wow. What the heck? So I thought I'm so fascinated with how you do that. I think that's very fascinating. And then speaking of the symbol, and also you touched on too about the lucid dreaming, that people can train themselves to do that, but that it's not easy. So it's kind of like losing weight. People shouldn't think, oh yeah, I do this and I do that and boom, I can do it.
Yeah. I've actually been interested in having it happen for myself, because anytime I lucid dream, once I become aware I'm in a dream, I always wake up. And they say that it's because you become too excited and then you wake up. And I've talked to many people who lucid dream and they go through all these different things. And I have mixed feelings about it. I feel like it's almost like lucid dreaming can be used supposedly for healing and stuff like that. And maybe it can. That's something that people are studying. But I think that it's more like a fun activity to do. I don't know, because I don't do it. I've only had a couple of times where I've done it. And I had that one dream. I'm sure I told you. Did I tell you a dream where I dreamt I was an orb?
Oh, what?
I'll tell you. So I drank this tea. It's lucid dreaming tea. I'll have to send you what it is so you could put a link in the notes. Boy, I've only done it one time, because the dream. Okay, so in my dream, I all of a sudden am aware that it's like I'm in a dark space or place, and I'm looking around. Like a fuzzy orb picture, how it has the little fuzzy things around the orb. Well, I'm looking around me and I see the edges where it has the little fuzzy edges around it, right? And I can see that it's like a see-through white orb that I'm in. And so my first reaction was, what's happening? I'm in an orb. And then all of a sudden I saw all these like symbols coming across the sky, and they were connecting to each other. And somebody had told me that some arcanic writing or symbols or something like that. And I was seeing all these symbols. And so I felt like I had and when I was looking at the symbols in the dream, I knew what they all meant. And I was being overloaded with information, and it was amazing. And I had no fear. I knew I had left my body. I don't know what was going on, but I was like fearless and bodiless, but intelligent. And then I woke up, and immediately I got up. I was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I am writing this down. And so I drew a picture of what I saw. And so when I looked up the symbol, because it looked like a 4, it was a triangle. I only remembered one symbol, and it was a triangle with 2 dots over it. And there was a 4 next to it, 2 lines that looked like they made a 4. And so when I looked it up, and I have it on a blog post, but 412, it was all this like spiritual meaning, which just made it that much more amazing, because a triangle with 2 dots supposedly is the symbol for 12. And the 4 was the 4. And so I put it together that way. And so I don't know. That was absolutely amazing. And so it felt kind of lucid. But again, once I was aware, I woke up. So maybe I wouldn't have come back if I hadn't. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, because one time I had a dream. I think I was like 15 or 16. And I it was probably the closest I've ever been to lucid dreaming. And the dream, I don't even know now what it was about. I just know in the dream I had the answer to the universe. Like
Oh,
I understood why we live, why we die, why Earth is, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it was not scary. It was like,
yeah,
oh, that makes so much, like it was a
yeah,
relief and very
yeah,
comforting. And I
yeah,
woke up and I remember in the dream thinking, wow, I know the answer to life now. I'm okay. It's okay. When you wake up, you'll just write this down and you'll be fine. And I woke up and it was gone. It's like,
yeah, yeah. That's what happened to me too. And I had the same experience. It was good. It was okay. And and you got all the answers to the universe. And like I said, I can only remember the one symbol, and I did the automatic. You should try to revisit it and
and
kind of
see
meditate
like,
and revisit the images in your dream and see if you can do like automatic handwriting, because that's how I came up with the triangle, because I couldn't remember, but I just sat down and meditated and I came up with the triangle and the line, because it like was the only image that would come back to me. It's worth a try.
whoa, I could try. I can't even remember what I ate for breakfast. So going back 40 years would be, I can try.
You can. No, you
It's,
really can visit old dreams.
it sounds like an awesome excuse just to meditate.
Right.
And what do you have favorite sources? Like you turned me on to Dream Moods. Do you still use that? But what
Yeah.
else do you use?
I still go to dreammoods.com because I like their website is very easy to use. And it also I feel like the symbols they give, they're not super long, but they've got a lot of meat in their definitions. You know what I mean? Because some of them they go on and on and on. And it's all this stuff, and it's like, well, this is
That
getting
didn't help.
to. It's becoming very supernatural. Like I don't like when they say, if you dream this, it means you're
Oops,
gonna
sorry.
die tomorrow or whatever it says. I don't. I just want to hear. Basically, I like the psychiatry of it. Could this mean? But like I said, when you go back to it, then you have to go back to the fact that it's what it means to you first. So I always like to write down what it means to me first. Then I'll like go to Dream Moods and see what they say. And then I also have these cards. I'll show them to you. They're called the Dream Decoder cards. And I totally recommend these. They
Ooh.
are, I think it's 60 cards. I just did 60 cards, says right on the box. 60 cards, and they have the definitions inside. So a lot of times I will use these for my Fridays. Not
Oh,
always,
okay.
but sometimes I'll use these. So like, here's an example. If you're dreaming of numbers, and the thing about numbers, it's funny this one came up. You've got to look up the individual number. So, but their definition is they've got it all written out on here,
Oh,
and it tells
wow.
you what it could possibly mean. And like an example, it says numbers in a dream may be significant. I think they're super significant.
I
Like
guess
I'm doing a
so.
dream experiment right now for 20 days, and the number 3 has come up in both the dreams that I remember. So I was like, so that's significant that the number 3 has come up twice, and we'll see if it comes up again. But those are the two I use. I will just do general searches on the internet. Sometimes I'll ask people, what is the dream symbol mean to them? Because that's also something that you should do, is ask people, what does the symbol mean to you? Like you had already told me, I was going to ask you what the cat meant to you, but when you described the cat, you already had told me that it was fear. So the cat symbolized fear. So
Oh, gosh. See how good you are. And that, I think that's the thing you hit on too, is when you said you like the psychology or of it, psychiatry of it. That's almost what it like when you were interpreting. I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds like you're
yeah,
I just think that's so cool.
it is, because it will help you, because say you've got like the experiment I'm doing, I guess I'm trying to manifest something, and I'm asking for my subconscious to tell me how to do it, because I don't actually know. And so my whole purpose of the dreams is recording the dreams is to see if I can get the answer from within, or maybe from universe, I don't know, on how to deal with a situation. So, I mean, dreams can be used in many different ways, and it's something that you can trust because it's you. Like sometimes you could talk to other people. I'm not saying you can't trust other people, but sometimes there's things that you just maybe don't feel comfortable talking to other people about and stuff, but you can look at your dreams and speak with yourself, you know. And I don't recommend only doing that because that's very isolating, but sometimes that's a supplement, you know, instead of spilling your guts to people all the time, you know, look within and what does it mean to me? You know, what are the dreams telling me that I'm focusing on? Because a lot of times when I first started, my dreams were telling me, and tarot readers would read me and say the same thing, that what was holding me back was negativity and being negative towards self. And so I knew that's the area that is stopping me from achieving my goals, is because I always shoot myself down before anybody else can. And that's probably a defense mechanism, right? But I learned that through doing all my dream analysis, that that was a personality trait that I really had to work on, and something that you look surprised, but something that I didn't even share with people. I just held it in, which doesn't help, right? So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because you're like, when negative comes to mind, your face or none of that. No, I'm like, you're one of the most positive and empowered people I know. So it's I'm like, you ever had that? It's weird. But maybe that's why. And the other thing that's interesting about your dream experiment is a lot of times people will say, like, they'll try to do a dream. Like, people will say, if you're having a problem, sleep on it, you know, ask about it, get an answer. But maybe it might not happen overnight. Maybe you need, you know, 3 days, 20 days, something. Yeah. So give yourself time, is what you're saying, that it's not a linear this.
Right. Yeah. You don't just go in and say, I need the answer to this problem. And then you have the answer that day. I can see it's building a story for me. It's first like it's basically, so far what it's showing me is what I'm doing. And I believe as I go along, and see, I have to repeat the what I'm trying to achieve before I go to sleep, like 10 times before I go to sleep. So it's the last kind of thing that's in my mind. So I'm programming my mind that this is what I'm focusing on, which is good too, because like if you have like directionless sleep, you're just all over the place with all these weird dreams and stuff. If you can focus on what you want your dreams to be about, I believe that you can kind of like, I don't know, try whatever it is you're interested in. Take yourself to Hawaii. Say, I want to dream about Hawaii every night. And eventually, and say, I want it to be a good experience, like elaborate. I want to be on the beach and I want to do this, you know, like I believe you can train your mind to create that little sleeping paradise, you know?
See, there's another good saying, sleeping paradise. And it's almost like it's not Google. It's something else. It's beyond. You're tapping into something that's sometimes hard to conceive of.
Yeah.
Which is, so I just love all these tips. And what about, do you ever dream or have people ask you? I think you posted one. Have you ever dreamt about, I don't remember though if it was a UFO or an alien, or maybe it was other, you know, extraterrestrial visitors. I don't know. But do you ever have those dreams at all? Or
I'm trying to remember, have I ever, to me that orb dream kind of felt like I was in space. So that kind of felt like extraterrestrials. Like, was that a spiritual thing, a death thing, or was that more of, you know, an alien thing?
Where'd I go?
Your picture just went to your picture.
My camera just went off.
Oh.
Hold on uno momento. I'll be right back. Video. Am I back? I'm back. And I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Messed up our whole flow. What were we talking about? So
you're saying, I'm just trying to remember UFOs and sleep.
And you said you had felt like you were in space, though. That's the last thing I remember, that you felt like you were in space when you dreamt of being the orb.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I was going to say about after that.
I'm so sorry.
The aliens took my mind. Okay, well, yeah. So the only one I could think of is when I was an orb and I was in space, but I don't know, you know, was I in space? Was it an extraterrestrial? Another one that I had was, and I don't know if I was actually dreaming or not, because sometimes when you're dreaming, it's called a twilight zone, where you wake up and you woke up too soon from your dream. So you're actually still dreaming and conscious at the same time. And that's when people tend to see ghosts and have abductions and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that that's the only time, because I do go for the paranormal. So maybe you are interacting with a ghost. I don't know. But I'm saying that there is a proof that there is a time called the Twilight Zone where you can see things and it's actually still part of that dream that you're coming out of. And so there was one time that I had a light shining in my eye. So I woke up to an extremely painfully bright light in my eyes. And I woke up, the room's completely dark. And it felt like someone like had a flashlight or the sun shining in my eyeballs. It was a lot, you know? And so it happened like 3 nights in the same week, not in a row, but 3 nights in the same week. I went to the eye doctor because I was like, uh-oh, I'm in big trouble here with my eyes, or a brain tumor, I don't know. And so the eye doctor couldn't find anything wrong. And it's been years since that happened, and it hasn't happened again. And so I've always wondered, could that be, you know, an extraterrestrial visit? Was it an extraterrestrial dream that just didn't quite go because I woke up? I don't know.
Wow. Oh my gosh. What if oh, that's freaky.
Yeah.
But that would be also frightening. Holy cow.
Yeah, that's one thing that does scare me is the idea of being abducted, because no one will believe you pretty much. And it's never been good for anyone that's told their story, in my opinion, you know.
No, people aren't there yet. They still label.
Yeah.
They label the folks. Even though there's some article I meant to, you just reminded me about UFOs, that why the New York Times and the Washington Post didn't publish something. I don't know why. Something to do with the UFO stuff that's coming out of the government lately. Yeah. But some other big place did publish it, I think. I don't know. I have to read. You got me. Because what happens if they are like, and the government can't protect you from being taken?
Right. Well, they visited me 3 times and they were like, never mind. Or maybe they're the ones that planted the idea for doing the dream interpretations. I don't know.
Oh, maybe they're like, come on, lady. And yeah, I've had a couple of dreams, not about being abducted, but about UFO and invasions and stuff like that, you know, and I can see the ships and everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's really happening. It feels so real that it's like, whoa, that's really freaky. So
hopefully that's not one of those dreams.
No, it doesn't ever feel like that. Now that you said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if that? Oh my gosh, no, it's not ever been one of those dreams yet. But I did have a dream that people were like stuck in a certain town. It's not like which From is a cool show that's out now. It wasn't quite like From, but there was a show on NBC like probably 15 years now. So I don't know how long now, but these people got stuck in a town, but they had been like taken by like the government and then put in this town, and there were invisible barriers up. It wasn't the dome one, it's some other one, and they couldn't get out. It was only on for a season, I think. I can't remember what it was called, but I had dreamt that dream like probably a year before, and I was like, that's my dream. I dreamt that. It was weird. I was like, okay.
You know what? That is weird, because there's been times that I've had dreams too, and I've seen it on a TV show later. So that's always made me wonder, is that a collective dream? Did that person who put that show out, wrote that show, did they have that dream? Because a lot of people write their stories from dreams. They do their art from dreams. And so maybe they had the same dream as you, and that's why they put it. And then what does that mean if they did?
There's some, see, and I think that too, because it happened before with an X-Files episode, and that was before this one. I think those are really the only 2 times it's happened, but the X-Files episode was about they used a cover for what is that, when you have your house fumigated and there's something
tinted,
something was going on inside the house, and that's what I dreamt. And then boom, like within, I don't know how long it was very short time though, here came that episode. I'm like, that's weird. That's just dreamt
I
that.
had a dream about that.
Yeah,
That is
it's
weird.
like, that's the first time I dreamt that. And then the second time was that, but that's only 2 times. But that, I think you're right. I think there is a
Yeah.
collective pool.
Yeah.
That
And there does seem to be, because sometimes we get information that it's like, if all the information is only coming from within, how come sometimes we get information that we couldn't possibly know? And that's where it comes down to, maybe there is a collective consciousness, which makes sense, because if you look, I mean, we're on one planet together, all our ecosystems kind of work together. So why wouldn't animals, they have that, some of them have that collective consciousness that they've identified. So it might be more than we think, which is why it's so easy for people to flock to somebody. Maybe they're able to project things easier, and that's why some people follow, and it's coming from, within. And they don't even realize it. They just think they're a good speaker, or, they're very good looking or charismatic or whatever it is. But maybe it's something deeper than that they're projecting from within, and other people are receiving and just blindly following.
If this would be where the mind, that is, wow. I love that, because it's true. You can tell there's something about certain people, whatever it might be, that they have something.
Yeah. And it's
some
even
people,
interesting.
I don't know why people follow them, but there's a lot of people
that's the thing that gets me, is that sometimes you'll see like somebody is like so worshipped, and you're like, I just don't get it, because you're not tapped into whatever that is, but they're so blindly are,
That is so, that could answer, like, that is fascinating, because it could answer so many questions about that. Like, why do certain people, oh my gosh, you just blew my mind. That's, wow. Okay. That might give me a dream tonight. I'll let you know.
Okay, good.
Or it's going to give me a post for sure. Either way.
Yeah.
Wow. I will be thinking about that now. For you just, sorry, blew me away. Okay. And then, you kind of gave tips for remembering dreams better. Write them down. But any other tips?
Oh, yeah. So my biggest tips are, first thing you want to do is be consistent. So you may not dream every night, but write something down every night. If the only thing you can have is that you woke up feeling sad or annoyed or happy or peaceful, or you want to be more productive, whatever you're feeling, if that's all you can remember, do that. Like, I had a dream the other night, and I remember it was a dirt road, and I think there was a hot air balloon. And I still wrote it down, even though I don't have the details. I still put that in the book because it's important. And when I read the whole 20 days, it may, make sense later. So whatever's going on, and even like, it's the journal I'm using wants you to write down the moon phase. And I thought that was interesting. And then I look up each moon phase, and interestingly enough, the moon phase, what the definition of it is, or what's supposed to be happening, is lining up with what is being told to me in my dream, which I thought was also fascinating. But that's a little, like, I'm going way off here. But think of your dream as a memory. So don't think of it as a dream. Think of it as you were there. So walk yourself back to whatever you remember. If you only remember like the dirt road, go close your eyes, go back to that dirt road, and just sit with the dirt road for a minute, whatever you remember about it, because things will start to come to you. That's how you bring up a memory. And so, as opposed to like a dream, right? Because a dream, people are just like, oh, it's just a dream. But your brain, your body, yourself, you experienced whatever was in that dream, right? So you could go back and visit it. So sit with the dream as much as you can remember. Always write it down first thing, like they say, before you go to the bathroom, before you drink coffee, before you do anything, because you think you're going to remember. It's so amazing. It just leaves you really fast. I've even done that. Like, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I always have 3 o'clock in the morning dreams. And sometimes I don't write it down because I'm just like tired, and I'm like, I will definitely remember this. I'm trained. Nope, I forgot it. It's gone, because other dreams have come after. And so, and that's, then I always feel heartbroken because I didn't remember, so keep a pen, a pad of paper. I use my phone, You can even like have a recorder and just record your dream, right? And say to your, phone or whatever you want, what the dream was, and revisit it later. Because once you write it down, like I'll wake up in the morning, I won't remember, and I'll look to my journal to remind myself what I dreamt at 3 a.m. And as soon as I read it, then oh yeah. But until I read it, I forgot, tell another person. Like a lot of times I will tell my husband my dream, or he'll tell me his. And so we tend to remember each other's dreams more, because it's interesting to hear where they were, in their little dream journey. It's like they're telling you a story of where they went while they were asleep, stuff like that. Those are my biggest tips, is think of it as a memory, always journal whatever you got. And then even with my dream experiment, I've been doing it for 3 nights, and I have 3 dreams. But one night, the very first night I started the experiment, I couldn't remember any of my dreams. I was like, I can't believe it.
No. And what about that? You mentioned a dream journal. Is the journal specific to the experiment, or is that?
No, I'm actually using, I can show you what I'm using. You'll get a little sneak peek of it, but I'm using The Conscious Dreamer.
Ooh.
And so it's a book, and it goes through it. Basically, it's like it teaches you all about dream interpretation. So if you've never experienced, trying to do your own dream interpretation, this is a great book to get. And so I'm going through each night with the book, and it's the one that had me set the intention of what I want to accomplish while I'm asleep, what I want to know. And then I'm using the Dream Decoder journal to do the writing. But you could just use like a pad of paper or your phone. I feel like it's better to write it out at some point. Like in the night, if you want to type it out on your phone, that's good. But you should physically write it, because it helps kind of imprint the memory and all that, because you're like in school, they had you write something 100 times. There's a lot of truth to that, And so it's just like, it's mostly blank, but it'll ask you to draw what you saw. And like, I can't draw at all. I'm terrible, but I'm still drawing the images, which are really funny. I'm having fun looking back at them. I'm too embarrassed to show them because they're just terrible. But it still helps me, because every time I look at the image, I remember the actual, what it looks like in my dream, so I can like totally remember it just by looking at that image again. And then it asks you again, like the moon phase, it'll ask you what memories you have from that day, which I can never seem to remember what I did during the day before. Asks for reoccurring themes. So like mine was the number 3. And then it asks you about how you felt, like your mood and stuff. So if you're new to dream interpretation or doing your own dreams, I think it's good to get a journal that kind of asks you the questions, because they're little prompts, because you might not remember everything. I mean, something as simple as the colors you saw is important. Which direction you looked in. Did you look to the right? Did you look to the left? Did you look up or down? Oh, wow. What did you hear? Like there's been dreams where I heard my feet walking on like gravel, and I could hear the crunching in my dream. Like all those things mean something. And it may just be part of a bigger puzzle, but that's the point, is you're solving a mystery. And I think that's probably why I like dream interpretations, because I love mysteries. That's my favorite of everything. And so I'm literally solving my own mystery every day. It's fun.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. And I love that I didn't know. I just have like little journals that I keep the dream thing in. And every once in a while, I'll draw something, in there, which it's bad because I can't draw either. But I try, like if it's something, I really am like, okay, it was a direction or, something. But I never thought, oh, that's so clever, because like you said, the prompts, and it would help you think. Right. And solve that mystery. But it gives you, it points you to other clues I wouldn't think of on my own.
Exactly.
That's cool. I love mysteries too, by the way. Are you watching since I brought that up a couple of times, it's on MGM Plus though.
Oh, I don't have that one.
Oh, if you like mysteries. But really? Did you like Lost? Or
I loved Lost until the end. I was very mad about the ending.
Me too. So the same guy, it's not written, I don't think, by the same guy, but the same producers of Lost are involved. You would love. And I think if you have Philo, maybe it might be on there, because another friend watched season 1 on that. And she's like, oh my gosh, thanks for telling me. It's a really good, but it is a little scary because there's monsters.
No, that's okay. I mean, I just don't like when there's too much gore, like I understand that the monster got them, but I don't need to see graphically how, slow motion of bad things happening. I get it, monster, it's okay.
There's a little gore. Well, in the beginning, there's actually a lot, but like just when I say beginning, I mean like the opening scenes, there is, but then after that, it's not as much. It's not consistent every episode, and they don't do it gratuitously. They definitely, it's to go with the story.
Right. So, it has meaning and purpose. Yeah.
But it's really good. I think you might like it.
I'll have to check it out.
And what else? I think I have one other question. I'm sorry. Thank you for bearing with me with my little goof. Oh, I think I already asked that because I asked, what are your favorite sources? So I think we asked everything and got some super big bonuses in the process. It was awesome. And is there anything else you have to tell people about dreams at all? Or
well, just that I would say that I personally think dream interpretation is really important. So I think if everybody would just take the time everybody's so stressed and so upset all the time. And it's like, this is a place where you can go with yourself and sit down and work on yourself. Because if everybody would like try to work on themselves, we'd all be happy, collectively. So, I mean, don't just say, oh, it's just a dream. It doesn't mean anything, no matter how short it was. I guarantee you it does mean something. So, at least try. Set maybe 1 week you're going to try, or 3 weeks, or a month that you're just going to do it. And then if you hated it at the end of that month, then fine. But I'm pretty sure you won't.
Oh, I love that. And I agree with you. I think I've always thought that dreams really mean it's trying to help you or tell you something or warn you.
Yeah.
I've had warning dreams too. Mm-hmm. So that's it's just another part of us, or another way to tap into and listen to our our universe, surroundings, everything.
Exactly. To not use it is like you're throwing something that's free away.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining me and for everybody watching. Her and I, we were talking, Deedee and I, about where do we look? And I'm like, my camera's up. She's like, well, it looks like you're looking above me. So I don't know where I'm supposed to look. I'm awkward. It just, please no. Thank you for tuning in. I really hope you've enjoyed and go to see. So we're going to go over again. If you've enjoyed this and I know you're going to love Deedee. How can you not? But to find her, so Haunted Hour.
Twitter is at Haunted Hour. The website is thedreamsinterpreter.com. Haunted Hour podcast, Illusions from the Side of the Road. I'll give you links for everything. I have a link for you that kind of gives you everything. But yeah, it just depends on what you're most interested in. But I do the podcast and the dream symbols on YouTube, and I appreciate all the follows and likes and subscribes and all that.
Oh, that's awesome. And is that one Haunted Hour?
That one's Illusions from the Side of the Road, but it's the Haunted Hour podcast, because now on YouTube you can actually classify your episodes as a podcast. So I don't know how that comes up in the algorithms and stuff. So, but it's Illusions from the Side of the Road and then you have podcast.
Okay, yeah, because I have that too. I've separated it out. So good. Then we can put all the links. Look in the comments or the description. You'll find her link, so you can make sure to like and subscribe and follow her. And thank you for tuning in. I mean, thank you for tuning in. Where I was like, and thank you, Deedee, for putting up with this.
It's fun. I love talking with you.